statistics, it shows that over 85% of threats that have been experienced in institutions, 82% have been routed over web infrastructure. So what we have built at Grey Armor is a solution that allows businesses to subscribe, run their own vulnerability assessment, and if they find any malware or any incidents or even a possible attack that has happened, then we provide incident response on the spot. So Grey Armor provides what we call managed security service program. A business is able to gain access to the full power of cybersecurity solutions at a very tiny fee as simple as $8 per month. So you find that with that kind of solution, you don't have to worry about your security. Our websites have become very fundamental to our businesses. Yet every day, over 200,000 websites are hacked daily. So what's the probability that yours will be among? If it is not already, then it's likely to be. But with a Grey Armor solution, you guarantee that kind of security. So I'm very privileged to be here, and today we are showcasing Grey Armor. Feel free to come to our table. I'm Emmanuel Chagara, the CEO of Milima Security, which is the parent company of Grey Armor. It's a pleasure.
All right, and to the last gentleman, I guess by your hoodie, you're from NSSF.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Senkes. I'm the digital supervisor at NSSF. I'm here to talk about a few things that we've managed to accomplish in the fund's digital journey, specifically the NSSF Go app, which is a one-stop center for our members to monitor and manage their retirement accounts with us, but also our most recent innovation, which is the NSSF Smart Card, a 3-in-1 Visa-enabled membership card. I might say the first in the region that enables our members to utilize it for their retirement needs, their loyalty and benefits needs, but also the transactional aspects of it. And I'm glad to be here.
Right, thank you. If I could start off with Nalwama from AgriShare. You come up with this AgriShare that targets the farmers. Looking at Uganda and the kind of farmers that we do have in place, many of them, I don't think they would be the ones who use the internet and all that. What has been the challenge for you as AgriShare to help these farmers? Because you're here to connect the farmers.
Thank you so much for that question. I would start, an industry that feeds you is worth fighting for. An industry that feeds the nation is worth fighting for. As we move forward, we all see that technology is taking over countrywide, worldwide, and yet agriculture is. So AgriShare Uganda comes in as a solution to introduce technology in the agriculture sector and to help farmers digitize their farming journey as well. It is quite challenging, but nevertheless, we give it our best. And then we make sure that the farmers can be able to use the technologies that we avail to them.
I'm interested in hearing these challenges because like you stated, yes, agriculture is our backbone, but majority of these farmers, many of the poor who are practicing agriculture are either illiterates who may not easily adopt to this innovation that comes up with this amazing solution.
70% of the Uganda's population are farmers, and most of the people depend on agriculture. But I would put this right, it's not only the illiterates that do the agriculture, also you who has got education, you do agriculture. However, there are some challenges that encounter in the agriculture journey, like for example, lack of land, lack of machineries to help you have a successful farming journey, lack of irrigation systems, and yet the climate is changing due to different factors. So AgriShare Uganda comes in as a solution and as a one-stop center for anyone who wants to join the agriculture journey or for anyone who is in the agriculture journey and is facing those challenges, letting them know that you do not have to own something to have a good experience in the agriculture sector, but rather you can hire or rent your resources to other farmers who are in need of resources and then have a fruitful farming journey. Thank you.
All right. Philip, from policy, you talk about this digital safety T. And like I said earlier, as we adopt to this digital revolution, many of the people are scared with the internet and the problems that they're in that have been coming up of late. Like you talked earlier, where you have your data exposed even when you don't need. How can Ugandans or other fellow innovators who are here get to trust this product that, yes, my data will be safe?
Thank you so much for that question. First and foremost, we don't collect any data through the app. It's a web-based app. We don't require you to, give us any of your personal information or your personal data. We are an organization that is keen on data as well. Like I said, we work at the intersection of data design and technology. So we tend to take the principle of data minimization very serious, like the gentleman from PDPO said. So we tend to collect as minimal data. We are not your typical NGO that will ask for your grandmother's email and what that they are not going to use. But anyway, to get back to your question, I think for the app, yes, you can trust it. But I think the general conversation is on what internet products or what digital products are out there and what should we trust. I want to cite an example of the Roe versus Wade. If all of you have been following the news, the court ruling that now legalized abortion in the Western world. And ever since it came to pass, we've seen lots of conversation when it comes to digital security, data protection, and how much data is in the hands of innovators, big tech companies, and who they're sharing it with. The presenter from PDP earlier on cited the example of Safe Border. And I mean, all of us were shocked, but because we just didn't have the information, and also Safe Border wasn't transparent enough to tell us what was happening. So for the women in the room, like I said, we focus more on women as an organization. Many of you or some of you might know the app called Flow. Yeah, it is a menstrual, tracking app. And in the case where in the Roe versus Wade, post-Roe versus Wade, we got to find out, or it was all over the news that Flow are sharing, your data with, a third party, instances like those. So what is the challenge really? What are we trying to address as an organization? We've also realized that most of the things that we take in the technologies, and I want to applaud DPI for, putting forums like this, are Western made. The internet is made in the picture of a Western, cis male gentleman, who, has everything in order. And there's no, they don't put in context some of the users of the internet, yeah? So when we come to digital security, I'm talking about localization. I don't want to use the word localization, but contextualization. The internet is in English, first and foremost. And I know over time they've tried to, put in more languages, but there are things you can't explain. You can't explain, two-factor authentication in Luganda, things like those. So how do we contextualize digital safety? Because the conversation is not, we need to be secure. Some of these things have not been made as accessible as possible. Why we're focusing on women is because the statistics say, when you talk about, safety online, who is the most harassed, it is the women. We're talking about elements like online gender-based violence now. The gender-based violence that we've been advocating against most of the organizations and us for very many years, where we've known it to be physical, is moving online. We have things like name calling, trolling, harassment, cyberbullying, and I've talked about revenge porn, which is a common thing these days. As you share your photos with your lover, and before you know, things are done, and now they are leaking your photos, things like those. All that is online gender-based violence. So how do we put African women in a position where they're able to, be able to counter, or, for lack of a better word, be able to handle some of these threats that are coming their way? And that is why really the digital safety app game is coming for them to, interestingly or in an enjoyable way, try to learn about digital safety. There's three characters that are, there's a Muslim woman, there's a Black woman, all these African women, personas that you could think of. There's a person, a marketing officer who works with an NGO. There's a girl who is in the village who doesn't have so much access to the internet. So we present several, cases or scenarios that you might be presented with as a woman, or even as a man, that can help you, learn how to navigate the world of digital safety. But also it is a low-key level of doing threat modeling, where you're trying to understand what threats am I prone to, and how can I go about them?
Okay, and Olga from Multicard, replacing 100 cards with just one card, rather. This is an interesting one because myself, I don't know how many cards I have from various people, and trust me, I don't use them. And this is really an amazing innovation coming at a time from COVID, now Ebola, the whole thing of touching cards would not be a recommended one, yes. I want to hear from you, how has the journey been for you, first of all, for people to adopt, from the cards, the physical cards, to these online cards? I find it so interesting. How has the journey been like for you at Multicard, and why should people really adopt to this innovation of online cards? Should I call it that way?
Yes, the journey with Multicard has been very interesting. We started out February this year, and our main intention was to digitize the cards alone. So we were able to start up. Our biggest challenge then and still now was the capital to start out, having to create the system, having to come up with doing the coding, bringing our minds together to create something like this. So the journey alone had been a little challenging in terms of having to grow the idea. So Multicard coming in place, we've been able to help so many organizations and bring aboard different organizations to get business cards for their employees. But later on, we then got up an idea of this card cannot just be used for networking while in the field. Some employers are having challenges having to track if the employees are coming in. The technology would help with that too. Then later, also clock in and clock out to track the attendance. We realized that the card could also do the tracking as well as ID. So with time, it has been a journey of getting to grow and grow. And with time, we're later approached by some organizations, like for instance, KCCA. They are currently having challenges with increased fraud when it comes to ticketing for their matches. So we were able to share with them our idea and show them that the card could also be used when tracking the number of attendees coming in, verification of attendees, that way they're also able to track the numbers of the people that are watching their matches. So with time, the journey with Multicard is more of having to come up with an idea and develop more ideas along the journey.
Olga, just in a few before I get to piece from Smart Application, when you talk about the clock in and the clock out, I am wondering how this actually will save the employers from some of the staff, because we have also had those clock ins, clock out, but I can come and clock in and move out and coming back at 5 and clock out.
For clock in, clock out, for starters, of course, there's the survey that happens at your workplace. And then there's the machine we put. So take, for instance, if an employee is coming in, they would have to tap. So it will show you the information of their time in. And when they're leaving, they would have to tap out. So take, for instance, if I come today and not tap out or tap in, then that way they'll record me as absent for the day. I'll definitely have to explain.
So it's checking absenteeism in workplaces.
Yes, it's mainly for absenteeism. So for why people should take up Multicard, for starters, when you look at paper cards, if you need to change information, that would be a cost you have to incur. But with Multicard, you go to the Multicard website, create an account for your organization, and any changes that happen in the information can be done without any cost. Also for the restricted entry, that provides increased security at workplaces, as well as also helping with taking away the fraud when it comes to ticketing. Yeah, that's
okay. Piece from Smart Application with the MediSmart solution. I'm interested in finding out, first of all, how the journey, your journey has been amazing. You talked about how you've been in place for 18 years and the number of people you're reaching. 700 is not a small number, medical facilities, that's quite big. So your journey perhaps has been amazing. I want to find out from you why other facilities, first of all, in this health sector, should adopt to this MediSmart solution. Why should they adopt it? Or maybe if there are other challenges they're in, maybe I have. You could also share with us. Maybe I'm looking at 18 years as amazing.
Thank you so much. I'll give a brief background why we actually came into the industry. So one of the things that we noticed in the health sector were the issues of identification. For example, I'm a medically covered member. Probably it could be under insurance. It could be that my company has contracted a medical facility where as staff we're supposed to access medical services. Or it could be that there is a group of people within the rural communities that I may say that have come up together to pool resources that is going to cater for their medical needs once they have, once any of their members fall sick. So some of the challenges that were being faced in terms of the manual handling of the medical schemes were the issues of identification. When I go and access services at a medical facility, how am I identified? For example, if it's a photo card, I could be having a twin and you look alike. So that means someone else can access services and thus eliminating the whole mode of the scheme where the bona fide member is supposed to be the one accessing services, hence the issues of fraud. Then there were scenarios in terms of claims reconciliations, those challenges. So for example, most of the medical claim forms would be fraudulent. I come into the hospital, as I'm going to access services, I'm made to sign my claim form before I even access services. So you'd find that those claim forms probably could have issues of other maybe services added on after I've left the medical first. Definitely it is bound to issues of fraud at that case also. Then there was the issue of reconciliation. What does that mean? For example, a medical facility, after serving about, I'll give an example, maybe 500 medically insured members, that means at the end of a period of 30 days or 40 days, they have to transmit those claims to the payers who are the scheme administrators. In this case, we call them the scheme administrators. So it would take, for example, a facility, let me say in Karamoja, about a week to transmit those claims after collecting the claims in a period, for example, 30 to 40 days. So after transmitting these claims, sending these claims to the scheme administrators, there is not that entire process of reconciliation of claims. Because there is too much paperwork, it takes time to do the reconciliation, that these are the right services, issues of exclusions, just to verify that what was discussed with the medical facilities is what has been billed. Then
please, I really have to cut you short. My sincere apologies.
Okay.
I'm sure participants can have more interaction with you as we go to showcase at different stalls. I want to get on to Milima. My apologies once again. Okay. Yeah, on why, first of all, as internet users, we should be looking up to you and the amazing innovation that you come up with to ensure that, yes, as we surf the internet, we are protected from this criminal cybersecurity. I think they're experts, and from hackers. Why should they trust and why should they use Milima?
Yeah.
Let's try to keep it short.
Sure. So we are at a time where cybercrime has become one of the biggest crimes that we're dealing with. As a matter of fact, according to the World Economic Forum, cyber threats are now among the top 3 biggest risks that businesses have to deal with. So irrespective of what you're doing, and in this matter, we are extensively talking about human rights. Even in our works of human rights, you find that you having to encounter any form of cyber threats is right now very extensive, right from cyberbullying to revenge porn, as the gentleman from policy mentioned, to all the other forms of cyber breaches that we could experience. But even over and above that, we're seeing businesses that are also experiencing economic espionage attacks from either competitive businesses or just random attacks that fall on you online. So many of us have fallen victim to cyber attacks, not necessarily because it's targeted on us, but it's simply because we do not have the right controls on our ITC services. So because of this, a business has fallen a victim to a cyber attack. You have a loss of credibility. Customers are questioning whether you're capable of doing what you're saying you're doing. Your partners are questioning your credibility and capability. Basically, you're in chaos. You probably even don't know that the person who attacked you has moved on to the next victim. Now, that then means that we have our own responsibility to protect our infrastructure, both from the targeted attacks from our enemies and business competition, but also from the random stray attacks that just fall on us. So this is why it becomes very important for organizations to employ the right controls in protecting themselves. Yet, unfortunately, many of us are limited when it comes to skills, to resources, and the right tools to defend ourselves. So what we have done at Milima over the last 6 years is to work with institutions to strengthen their capabilities in terms of building the right security controls to help them respond, right from trainings to the penetration testing and all of this. But then one of the key elements which we have talked about as web infrastructure remains very exposed, and many of us still do not have the money to hire the security experts. So we thought, why don't we build a very affordable solution? Customers subscribe to it. You gain access to our security teams. We have a very big team of security analysts who are able to respond to your incident at the blink of an eye. Basically, we have a 24/7 service for the gray armor. So with this, you find that you can actually rest on a simple budget. You don't have to hire the security team. You don't have to know the details of what security is. And yet at the same time, you can be at peace. So basically, this is why we are advocating for the need for security controls within institutions. And for those who are not able to go through the cumbersome process of investing in the firewalls and all the infrastructure, hiring very expensive security experts, who could just come and subscribe to Grey Armor, and then you have access to this entire team. But even besides that, on the Grey Armor platform, you yourself can run your own vulnerability assessment. So you as a boss would ask, how secure is my website, for example? Do we really have the right security controls? Yes, we may not have been hacked, but then you have already the right recipe for being hacked. So many of us have not been hacked simply because maybe our God is still working. But you don't have the controls, you don't have the measures. So if working with such a strategy is very dangerous for your business, ensuring that you're employing these controls, the right strategies is what you need. So this is what we are providing at Grey Armor to help businesses, however small it is, you're able to gain access to the full power of our security teams, but also at the same time, you can monitor these services by yourself, right from your office. So basically that is what we are providing.
All right, and thank you. And finally, John from NSS Safe with the smart card that was launched early this year. Should have been the first social security smart card in the region, if I'm not mistaken. Just launched it this year in about June. If you could share with us in a brief how the journey has been so far, because I know it's inclusive more for the nearly about 2 million servers with NSS Safe. How has the journey been so far from that time it was launched and now? And why should these 2 million servers with NSS Safe care about this card?
Thank you. So the NSSF Smart Card is part of our very ambitious digital transformation journey. What people don't know is that 94% of our customers are served online, only 6% walk into our service centers. As part of our innovation in that space, we launched the Smart Card, like you rightly said, and it serves three purposes for us. As we speak, members are able to do retirement-based actions with the card, saving. We can pay your benefits through the card. We realize that our members always want an alternative bank account or payment channel that is different from their primary bank account. For example, for one reason or the other, they have a loan, they have this and that. So that meets that need. And for the new member, especially the ones who are just joining the fund from school, first employment, etc., it's a good start for them. But we also realize that over and above collecting, investing, and paying out money, which is our core mandate, we need to offer our members more value. So using our collective bargaining power, we've negotiated a number of member discounts with some of the players in the market. From our research, we know once our members get their benefits, many of them will invest this in real estate. And that's from buying land, renovating a house, or building one. So we've done massive deals with the providers in that space and so many other spaces. And the NSSF Smart Card is the gateway for the member to get those discounts. The last one is around the transactional side of things. So we want, people say that you guys are saving people, so you shouldn't give me a tool that enables me to spend. But we want people to live a balanced life. You need to save, but you need to live at the end of the day. So one of the things that is possible now, the members are able to do any transactional aspects of it, Visa enabled, whether that is at physical POS or online POS. But we have extremely ambitious plans for the card. One of the functionalities we are piloting is a spend and save functionality. So we want to say, yes, bring your family for brunch at the Serena, but once you are billed using this card, a certain percentage of that money, which you set yourself, is going to go to your savings account. So you kind of live your life, at the same time take care of the saving and social security needs. So in a nutshell, the card has got good adoption. It's a partnership we have with Centenary Bank, with Visa. We've got good uptake on the card. Our members are expanding. As you may know, the law changed. So the new spaces we are getting into, the informal sector, employers who previously had 5 or less employees would not remit. Now by law, they should remit. Any Ugandan can now join the fund. And our hope is that the NSSF Smart Card will be that linkage between whatever is happening on the transactional, retirement, and loyalty and discounts arena, and the fund for us.
All right, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for showcasing to us what you do have to offer. I request that right now we take up our positions at the various stands to allow participants here in the room and those online to know more about these innovations. So gentlemen and ladies, you can take back your seats and perhaps take positions at your different stalls. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, all of us in our respective capacities here in the room and those online, it will be done in a way that you're able to access all the innovators who are exhibiting their innovations here. So I invite all of us to visit the couple of stands and stores that are here. If you have any more questions or anything else that you do want to perhaps know and find out from them, now is the time. Yes, feel free to walk to any store that, any innovation or any exhibitor that has interested you. Ask them as much questions as you can ask so that all of us can learn and get to use these innovations that they have come up with. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not remain seated. Let's move to the various stalls and talk to these exhibitors. Let's get to find out more what their innovations have to offer. Let's not shy away from talking to these innovators. Yes, I'm currently at the Safe Bango stall. I see a number of people are interested in mental health issues.
Another location. Thank you. Yeah, if someone received that message when they're at another location, you could just press it and it will show you where the person is, and you can also navigate using the Google Maps there. And maybe another announcement we are doing here is we are incorporating the new maps, that's the OpenStreetMap, so that we can work with a lot of people who are using different platforms.
I'm just saying it on in English because we have a number of people who may not be so familiar with it when it comes to this, but they're related to those who are affected.
Yeah, we are trying to incorporate it in different languages. For example, one of the people who are testing with in the first few days, I managed to receive a message which was in Luganda. So the process is still under development to include different languages, but then you can still receive the messages. So that is one of the person we are testing with in Luganda. Currently, the product is at 160,000, but towards the end of the year, we are setting up a mini manufacturing plant to reduce the cost, and we anticipate it will be between 60 and 80,000. You pay only once, enjoy forever.
I have another question here.
I was asking still about the payment. Is it a lifetime payment? And then if it has a dysfunction, if it has a fault at one given point, do I get a refund? Do I get a repair? Do I get a new one?
Currently, the work we have been doing is if someone has a challenge with their bracelet, they return it to us and we give them a new one. Yes. But in the future, we are planning to train other people, the mechanics of how the bracelet works. If you need it if, for example, the battery is drained, if you need a GPS, it's not working anymore. Just like you see, my colleague Sarah there has a different strap. So if you're finding it difficult to have to change the strap, then you'll be able to change it for you. Yeah.
All right, let me get to another stall where I see people are. This is the Human Rights Center. Yes, for the case of the guys online, I'll be capturing this interaction you're having with various stakeholders. So please go ahead with your question that you're asking here.
I can ask the question again. So I work with an organization that is spread across the country, and there are so many human rights injustices that are registered across the country. So do you have like satellite offices, or this is like best within Kampala? And what of like those communities that do not have these digital platforms? Is there something like a way to document these human rights injustices?
The Human Rights Center Uganda is based in Kampala, but it's a national organization. So we carry out activities in the whole of Uganda. So we are able to cooperate with all other organizations
articulation of what your funding need is. And the beauty is we don't stop at just giving you this money. We actually connect you to several business support organizations and hubs that will walk the journey with you in terms of structuring your business, optimizing your processes and costs to help you actually grow. So I've seen some really innovative ideas that, without even saying, could make a good sale for the High Innovator Program. And I encourage you all to take up the initiative, sign up, get the potential or opportunity to pitch and get the funding. Because for you to access funding from some of the other sources, it's extremely expensive. Banks, plus they will ask you for things that you may not have as a startup. What we want from you as a startup is a demonstration of a clear business idea, the plan you have, the numbers that you have now and what you project. And if everything adds up, we do proceed to fund your business and attach you for additional support. So I was asked to come back and present about that. I hope some of you will take action. You don't have to look for money outside Uganda, waiting for an angel investor and all of that. If NSSF in partnership with Mastercard Foundation can actually get you that funding. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, John from NSSF. He has talked about the High Innovator Fund and the money that is available for some of you innovators who could be having challenges coming up with these innovations. With this Innovator Fund, I can imagine what you imagine can be made possible. Now, as we wrap up this Expo, we have seen today, this Expo is unique in a way, like Mr. Yona earlier told us. We've seen a couple of innovators exhibit what innovations they have. And as we wrap up, it would also be good enough to tap into the thoughts of those who have been in the industry for long. Perhaps as we peer into the future, what kind of, as we adapt to this digital revolution, as we adapt to the changing times in technology, what is the future like for the innovators, you who are here, and those who have been participating and have picked a lesson or two, and perhaps will be coming up with other great innovations in the near future. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to call up James Nkobi to pick his thoughts, his futuristic thoughts actually, for technology innovations here in the country. James Nkobi, the podium is all yours.
Thank you. I must disclaim though, I'm not entirely innovator, but my name is James. It's rare to invite commoners like myself to share things as we close. My background is more in the law of technology and the law of war, and how technology is changing the terrain of innovation. Earlier, we were involved in a meeting, which was online, on how the Ukraine war has been used as a testing specimen for new innovations rather. And we were treated to a very interesting emerging reality of innovations around bullets that can identify a DNA. You know, that a bullet that is meant for me, James, can come, it can come and doesn't harm you or anyone, even if it's a stray, but when it is looking for the DNA that it has been programmed to find, enter and burst, okay? And sometimes when you attend such innovations, and then you remember where you're coming from at home, in water irrigation, you kind of get a bit, uneasy. But then, just after that meeting, I zoomed onto this meeting. And there's a very interesting pattern between the global south and the global north in terms of innovation. Whereas global north innovation is for domination, right? When you look at all the innovations we have here today, there is a humanity involved in them, okay? Particularly, the question or the innovation that was around towards innovations that can increase power of an individual over another, than power or than innovations that bring power to one individual, like this kind of NSF where you decide to do whatever you want with your money on the apps. What am I saying here? That we may be gearing towards a period in this world where funding will have to be so much inward-looking. Inward-looking funding. And that becomes a conundrum when it comes to how the government can really come in here. Now, another very interesting aspect that came up in this meeting was the rush for buying off people or buying off innovations that threaten global north innovations. The so-called concept of buy to stifle and kill. Okay, that you have this very good thing of agriculture. It's going to increase productivity, cohesion in cooperation, and then a particular person somewhere is like, how do we stop you? I come in the form of money. I buy the app, I buy the rights, and I say I'm going to, blossom it, when actually the idea is buy to stifle. What does that mean? That innovators have to be extremely careful on who is injecting startup capital. Is it injecting startup capital to kill, basically starting to kill, or injecting capital to blossom? And one of the fellows who was in that meeting was telling us to watch the trajectory of Twitter. Now that today it has been taken over by elves. Of course, he first fired the entire set of people who were manning the thing. And the projections that is a typical example that where he takes Twitter will determine whether he bought it to grow it or actually bought it as a negotiating tool for power within the global north. Now, conclusively, for me, honestly, I just want to thank you who are here for the fact that all innovations here they are human-centric. Okay, they're human-centric. You're innovators, you know the ideologies that govern innovation: human centricism versus power centricism, and so forth, hegemonic extension, and all that. But if in Uganda we are looking at human-centric, it becomes a very interesting, promising terrain, which though may not necessarily attract a lot of interest in those who are interested in power, but probably a lot of interest in those who are interested in spearheading humanitarian causes. Frankly, I'm baffled with the shelters and all the others. And I was talking to a couple of people on how some of the innovations that have been here could be very useful in the field. I come from the field of humanities, particularly human rights. How it could be more useful, or they could be useful in those entities, and we make or we build synergies around them. Otherwise, I just want to wish you all the best in these innovations that you are taking on, even though from the challenges that we've been hearing when you are discussing here, especially the issues of government and so forth, maybe DPI at this context will have to come in and create more synergies with the ICT, ministry, on why innovation clearance becomes very problematic and bureaucratic. But then again, don't forget what I've said. Is the bureaucracy real or it's constructed? Because every innovation changes the market and causes a status quo discontent or disconnection or disruption. No one likes disruptors, which you people are, practically, which you people are, But then the cohesiveness on how you can be collective becomes a very interesting thing. In the global south, global north, there are all these state associations that actually wrestle concessions from their states when it comes to innovations. And that's why probably that becomes so powerful and even control the kind of leaders that get into those offices. Otherwise, I wish you a very good weekend. Those who are going to have one, may it be innovative in whatever format you want. And I thank you for turning up. And of course, for the great moderation. We were online, and we thank you, Madam, for moderating this piece so brilliantly and effortlessly. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, James Nkuvi there from HuriNet. Perhaps I didn't introduce him well earlier. But with his speech, this Expo comes to an end. It has been the 2022 Digital Security Expo, the first of its kind, having known that from 2017, this conference has been in form of a conference, and this time around, it was an expo allowing digital innovators to showcase their innovations and products, and also allow them to create awareness and interest potential clients. Like I saw earlier before I interrupted, many of you were eager to know what are these innovations are about. And in interacting, you never know who could be your investor. But like Nkuvi said, as innovators, we have to be cautious of who is funding our startups. Perhaps that could be a take home for all of us. This Expo, we have been trying as much as we could to, of course, create awareness about the uptake of digital security technologies across CSOs and Ugandans ourselves. And it has created a platform for local digital security innovators, like we have seen, to exhibit. And we hope we will get collaborations after this Expo and partners as we advance and promote security and safety in this digital era in the country. My name is Rita Kemigisa. I'm a multimedia journalist. I work with Nation Media Group Uganda, but I trade most often with KFM, where I also do host a hard talk show every Saturday. So be sure to catch me tomorrow from 9 to 11 on 933, that is KFM. I want to wish all of you here a safe innovation weekend. Let's keep innovating, because like the president said, he now loves innovators and you people who are coming up, with various innovations every day. So I can only hope and wish you all the best. Until next year, we shall be back here on the 29th during the Cybersecurity Awareness Month to deliberate more as we try to drive this digitization agenda. Thank you. Good afternoon and have a great weekend.